Now, we all want to learn how to catch more barramundi, or we all want to learn how to catch more fish in general. That's probably why you're watching YouTube and watching a bullhead like me, just to get a few tips on how to catch a few fish. Well, that's exactly what we're going to do today. Up on Cape York, or anywhere in the northern tropics of Australia, you'll find that barramundi move up into the swamps during the wet season, because all these areas get flooded and they're just big feeding plains for all these fish. But early in the dry season, when the rain stops and the water starts to subside, those barramundis move back into the rivers and creeks, and that's when we chase them. Get your timing right and you'll find a lot of barramundi. This video is about 3 different locations around Weipa and around Cape York that we chase swamp barramundi, and I'll call them swampies because they come out really dark and they're really interesting fish, and just the locations we catch them is amazing. So check this out. So what we've done, we've pushed right up a creek so far up. I've never been this far up before. I've got a creek mouth here that's got dirty water coming out of it, and another creek mouth here that's got clean water coming out of it. So while Jeff throws a hard body lure around here to catch a few fish, I'm going to put a drone up because we're still after swamp barra, so we're still after the draining swamps. I suspect that that's a draining swamp, but it might be really clean water coming off a swamp as well. So I don't know if the boat will go up any further. We're lucky to get up this far, bumping over a few logs. It's pretty exciting. We might catch nothing or we might do really well. So see how we go. Without a chainsaw, we're not going to get through there. Yeah, can't fall back for it. Oh yeah. There you go. Oh, he's not bad barra. These barra are so dark, they're coming out of the swamps. They push up into the swamps in the wet season, and now it's the beginning of the dry. They all have to leave, and we're right up one of the creeks, but we're up so far we're in fresh water, and the barra are coming out and they're sitting in this fresh water. They're so dark. I've been up the Wenlock chasing them. I've been in one of the local creeks, Roberts Creek, chasing them as well. So I'll show you a bit of footage of all of it, but swamp barra. Let's get into them today. Oh, came back for it. Oh, he's bad. Swamp barra and a frog. Beautiful golden colours. You know you're up in fresh water when you get an arch of fish. There's the barra. There's my lure.
You sneaky dog.
Nice barra. That was an awesome session. Hang around to the end and I'll cover all the lures and tackle and everything we use for all the different locations that we chase barra. Now this next clip is about the Wenlock River, one of the biggest rivers on Cape York and certainly my favourite river, and it drains a heap of swampland. And I got up there with my son Cody and we fished the muddy water of the Wenlock, but we looked for crystal clear swamp water that drained into it and we got a heap of fish out of it, so check this out.
Hey, first barra of the day. Out of the waterfall.
Oh, he's a good barra, look at that.
Oh, nice fish.
Oh yeah! Oh.
Look at that. Swampy. What I mean by it's not a swampy is you get swamp barra come out of the swamps at the end of the wet season, beginning of the dry season, and they're really dark. There's a shot here of we were catching some swampies the other day, but this guy, he's a saltwater barra through and through. Yellow fins, big chrome, beautiful fish. This is the second draining swamp kind of area that we've found, because we've got crystal clear fresh water coming into the dirty water of the Wenlock. We did pull a barra, pulled a barra each, dropped a toga. And we're going to keep cruising along and finding the draining swamps. We're even going to put the drone up later on and have a look around and see if we can find some swamps that might be draining into this river. Now the Wenlock's one of my favourite rivers on Cape York, but it always does run quite dirty because it drains so much water from the middle of the Cape. But this swampy water, even though it's tenon stained, it's really quite clean and you can see beautiful clear water draining into the Wenlock. And as the drone flies over, you can see how beautiful that swamp area is. This is early in the dry season, so you could imagine in the wet, that is absolutely full of water, and the barra push up there and they just feast on all the food that's available to them in that swampland. So what do you think happened when I threw a frog invitation in there and worked it out, and Cody threw a baitfish invitation in there? Well, as you can see here, barra after barra after barra just come up and they smash them. Now that frog had a really poor hookup ratio, but it didn't matter because watching so many barra come up and belt it was just so exciting, and eventually just one of them had to hook up.
Okay. Oh, talking about wake him up. They got him. Oh yeah.
Bit of barra. And this last little clip is about Roberts Creek, and that's a creek right in the middle of Weipa. It's across from the main boat ramp.
Get the timing right, and this creek fishes really, really well. And my son Cody showed his old man up on how to catch barramundi on surface lures. And I'll put a link up to the whole video at the end, because Cody takes you through a whole tutorial on how to do it. And it's got some amazing fishing, so check this out.
Oh, seriously? He's been right up in the swamps, hasn't he?
It is beautiful.
For barramundi, Cody prefers to use a walk the dog type lure. Now these lures are cigar shaped, and if you wind in slowly and twitch your rod at the same time, it dances the lure side to side. This just is irresistible to barramundi as well as a lot of other sports fish. But another secret that Cody uses is when he first casts out, he gives the lure a minute just for those ripples to attract a little bit of attention before he starts walking the lure as well. It's a very clever technique, and it catches him a heap of fish. Yeah, baby.
Found this walk the dog to the back of snags.
Nice fish.
And there you go, that's so much fun. And it is a lot about just learning and understanding your target species. Knowing where the barramundi go at certain times of year is really, really important. So I use the Zurich prawn. Look, I love this lure. It really attracts a lot of attention from barramundi. Barramundi get really curious about a big prawn just being slowly worked. Zurich's a really good one. This one's an Ecoda live shrimp. There is a lot of prawn imitations, but I do like these ones that have the segmented body because they do dance along the water a little bit better, and they just seem to catch a few more fish. Another lure that we used a lot of, and Cody was using a fair bit when we were chasing barra in the Wenlock, and I threw it a little bit when we're up the other creeks as well, and it's just your standard barramundi lure. And what I mean by a standard barramundi lure is they're usually between 10 and 12 centimeters long. You can get the bigger ones, and the bigger ones work quite well also. And they're just a dancing hard body. I say dancing hard body because you throw them in, you twitch the lure a few times and get it rattling and rolling. Don't do a steady retrieve on it. Attract a lot of attention. Get these things rattling, get them twisting, get them working, and they catch a lot of fish. The other lure that I use is a frog. Now I show you how to rig up a frog on this video here on it's how to catch mangrove jack on surface lures, because jacks love these frogs. So if you want to learn how to rig it up, check this video out. But the frog works really well on draining swamps because the barramundi who have been up in the swamps have been eating frogs. They see a frog walking across the surface and they just can't help themselves, they'll smack it.